What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Good to Be Drew. I am your host, Drew Davis. Hopefully, everybody's doing great and had a fantastic weekend. We are rolling into the week. And like you guys know, on Monday, we got to get ready to get out of the bed when our feet touch the ground and get running, get going. We ain't got time to be sitting here dilly dallying around, as my mama would say. We got to be ready when the week comes because it is not going to slow down. We got to be ready for it. And if we're not ready, we're going to get punched in the face. Now, I know we've had some new followers. We've had some people gaining traction. Some people are stumbling over here on this show, which I greatly appreciate. And here we focus on mentoring, advice, and coaching, but we get into a little bit of the stuff in between as well. So if you are a new listener, do me a favor, go in and rate this podcast, show, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is. Rate it 5 stars on Spotify and also Apple Podcasts, and also just send it to a friend or two. This show is going to help a lot of young people, mostly young men, but people that are trying to find their way in life, people that are looking for mentors or people to tell them information that they're not being told, and people to support them. Honestly, people that support them in what they want to do and ask them really, really good questions for the path that they're on or they're going towards. And that's one of the things my mentors or the people in my life did with me. They ask me questions and I say, "Oh, I want to do this." Okay, well, what are you doing about this? And usually if I didn't have an answer to that, that one either meant that I wasn't that focused on actually going after that, or two, it mean I just didn't have an answer for it, so I needed to find one. And neither of those things are bad, but if I didn't have those people asking me those questions, I probably wouldn't have made it to where I am today. So if you're new to the show, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully my voice is aesthetically pleasing for you. And if it's not, I just hope the material that I'm talking about and I'm discussing is relevant and important to you. And honestly, every episode, I hope that you leave with something, with knowledge of something that either you didn't know before or that you had no idea about. And if you something that you've heard before and it doesn't match up, double check me. Like, I am human, but outside of that, I want everyone to be educated. I don't want everybody to just take my word for everything. I want people to put in the work to find out things themselves. And I know as a culture, sometimes we're a little bit lazy when it comes to that. But really, if you're really trying to catch me up on everything that I say and trying to find something bad in what I say, start your own show and just talk about what you want to talk about because this ain't the place. But outside of that, welcome in everybody. This is going to be one of those shows that's going to be a little different. And I say that because I'm a former collegiate football player, former NFL football player, former director of player development that worked at the college level, working with student athletes and helping them on and off the field. But right now is a very important time in sports just because we are pretty much coming out of the off season and we're getting rolling into the end season. And for those that don't know, I'm a certified life and performance coach. I work mostly with student athletes and professional athletes and high performing individuals. But this is the time that the NFL players and college players are coming off of vacation and they're rolling into their season. Now, before they roll into their season, they have this thing called camp. For college, they usually call it fall camp. For NFL, they usually call it training camp. And what it is pretty much 2 to 4 weeks of getting ready and ramping up to start the season. Now, within these 2 to 4 weeks, I played for the Atlanta Falcons. So with Atlanta, we would pretty much stay at these dorms that they had built, which is on the campus or on the, real estate, I guess you could say, of our practice field and our training facility up in Flowery Branch, which was about 30 or 45 minutes outside of the city of Atlanta. And so we would pretty much have to move in there. We would, bring a bag, bring some clothes. We pretty much weren't allowed to leave. But you're there for pretty much 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how long coach wants you there. And you're there because your days start as early as 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning, and they go until as late as, 10 or 11 p.m. at night. And this is, having practice once a day. There weren't any double days when I got there, but practice once a day, one walkthrough. There's film, there's treatment, there's the weight room, there is a little bit of downtime for a nap here or there every once in a while. They keep you busy enough with short breaks in there that you don't really have time to get comfortable. So there's not time to shoot home really quick or do this errand. Like when you go into fall camp or training camp, it's very football focused. And I'm not going to say that it's like, oh, all the heavy lifting is done and now the work stops. this is when it ramps up just another bit. This is when it's just strictly about football. This is where you can really see, okay, who wants to really play, who's ready to play this year. And this is the time that we can see, okay, what have we built through January up until now? And the things that you build in fall camp are going to springboard you or sink you once you come to the season. But fall camp is very important because that's when players are able to separate themselves from others. But fall camp and training camp are very important because that's when you get the chance to really separate yourself from other players. And you had guys that were drafted, this past March, April, that are trying to make this team or that are, trying to see where they fit in this team. You have veterans who've been there for 5, 10, 15 years, and this is just like, another walk in the park to them. You have some free agents, guys that got picked up that were considered long shots, but still have a chance to make the team. There's these amalgamation of people that you have on this team that starts at about 90 people for fall camp and training camp. And then by the time training camp ends, they have to cut that down to, I think it's 53 people that they're going to take into the season and that they're going to go to battle with in the season to try to make it to the playoffs, win their division, get to the Super Bowl, and also at the very end of it, win it. And what is today about? Today is about talking a little bit about that. Like I said, I work with student athletes and professional athletes, so I know what the grind is about. But what I'm going to talk about a lot in this episode is how to make the team when you are pretty much a student athlete or professional athlete. But a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is going to be interchangeable and what you can take with you into your career, into what you're doing, into school that you're in right now, or going after that master's degree or doctorate degree. But it's all about making sure you have a structured environment for you to be successful. And so anytime people hear about athletes, they don't think about all the things that they have to do to prepare to get ready to go. One of the biggest things for athletes is to make sure that your body is ready. Like I just talked about, fall camp goes from, anywhere ranging from like 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And I only say that because different teams have you stay longer. Some teams might only do it for 2 weeks, some teams do it for three. But the farther you get to the back half of that and start to get to your preseason games, that's when pretty much camp breaks. And then it gets a little bit more structured up until cut day and the last preseason game. And then you roll into the season and it's totally different. It's still a lot of work, but it's totally different. This is the time to work. In football and in sports in general, your body is your most important asset. It's your most important asset because if you're not healthy, if you have a hamstring, a pull, a broken bone, a concussion, something that can keep you out of practice and off the field, it's another chance for somebody around you to take your spot to make the team and you to be the odd man out. There's a saying that goes, you can't make the club sitting in the tub. I've heard that ever since I was in Little League. And it's pretty much saying, yo, if you're in the cold tub, icing all these injuries, or or in the training room, getting your body back to the physical shape it can be in to compete, then that's less time that you're on the practice field. That's less time that you might be in the meetings looking at film and getting feedback from the coach. Or you're not getting feedback from the coach because you're not practicing. So there's no film on you to review. And I'm not saying that being in the cold tub and being in the trainer's room is a bad thing because that's where you go to make sure you do all the proactive stuff to make sure that you're ready to play, to make sure that your body bounces back after those super long days or after you did tweak something or had a small little injury. That's the place you go, and those are people that you go to talk to, so them to give you some rehab for you to do on stuff so it doesn't get worse. But if you've suffered something, and we're going to talk about that, but if you suffer something and like a pulled hamstring, if you're in there, it's because now they're trying to get you back on the field. Now you've been injured, so you're off the field, and now you're trying to do all the things to get back on the field, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's saying that like you didn't take the precautionary steps before to end you up here. Now, I want to say there's a crazy, crazy percentage of once you step onto a field, the chances of you getting hurt, it goes up by 100 or 200%, something crazy. Like if you play a sport such as football, where it's hitting, it's a lot of contact, it's a lot of stuff that you cannot plan for, you are going to have some type of injury, whether that's a soft tissue injury, whether that's a bone injury, whether that might be, dehydration or something like that. If you're not taking the precautionary steps, you will run into something that derails you. And so, what I'll be talking about today is I'll be talking about a lot of the precautions that you can take and should take. So, I'm low key talking to my athletes that I work with, or guys or people that would like to work with me on what you can do in order to put yourself in the best position to get through camp healthy, to make the team, to get that vaunted spot that you're chasing after. Those couple of things that I'm going to talk about today are things that if you're not doing them, it'll behoove you to not change and figure out, okay, I'm on this track. How do I get over that next track? How do I take that next step to being professional? Because that's what it's about. You don't wait until you get to the NFL to become a professional. You don't wait till you get to a Division 1 college or Division 2 college or to the college of your choice before you start acting more professional because it feels like you should. Being professional is a way that you approach the work that you have to do. Now college players are getting paid. NFL players get paid. I will tell you firsthand, just because people are getting paid money does not make them professional. I played with guys who you would think you'd be like, okay, when I get to the NFL, everybody shows up early and nobody's late and everybody takes notes and does this and does everything the coach says. Nah, nah, bro. That ain't how it works. It's actually the same people that have the same habits that got them there somehow keep those same habits. And there are some people that sneak through the cracks, but also, because there's some things that are allowed in college, or if you were the star player in college and the coach might allow you to walk in late every now and then. The coach might allow you to skip, a weightlifting session or a tutor meeting or whatever it might be because they need you for the game that weekend. But when it gets to the NFL, in order for everything to run smoothly, pretty much everybody operates by the same rules. And if you are one of those people that you can't operate well within and function well within inside discipline and structure, low key, you won't last long. And I say you won't last long only because, like I said, you miss a weightlifting session or you can't practice or you're always late to meetings. Some way or another, they're going to find a way to punish you. And that might be taking away playing time. That might be not letting you practice, whatever it might be. And that's all the little bit of room somebody needs to kind of just slide in there. Okay, cool. Oh, hey, such and such is playing really well. Oh, and he's on time to meetings. We don't have to worry about him missing meals or the weight that he's at right now. He knows what he's doing when he gets in the game. Like, why are we over here fooling around with Joe Smo when he got us over here having a heart attack on if he's going to be here in the morning, if he's going to show up and be on time to get to the facility? Those are things that coaches and GMs and owners are not trying to have to worry about. They know that there are guys that have a great amount of talent there that they'll deal with for a certain amount of time, but then at a certain point in time, it gets to risk versus reward. It gets to assets versus liabilities. If we have a guy who's an asset when he walks in this building, we want to hang on to him. If there's a guy who's a liability, at one point in time, he's going to cost us a game, a practice, a player, whatever it might be. And do we want him around long enough until he does that? And the answer is probably no. Depending on your talent level, they'll stick with you a little bit. There's always going to be that straw, that last straw that breaks the camel's back, where the GM or the coach is going to be like, "No more. We're not doing it anymore. This dude's worth more of a headache. He's more of a headache than he's worth." And so, with that being said, you don't want that kind of stuff. And a great philosopher once said, "I stands all I stands, and I can't stands no more." That great philosopher was Popeye. And that was when what was his name? Brutus, what his name was? He always used to come up trying to start stuff and steal olive oil, whatever his name is. But yeah, on some Popeye stuff. I stands all I stands and I can't stands no more. I stands all I can stands and I can't stands no more. Ooh, that's a definitely a bar. But as we get into it, like I said, I want to tell you things that can help you make the team or that can help you get that promotion. And first of all, it's handling and controlling what you can control. You control what time you get to work. You control where you can sit at in that room once you get there. A lot of people don't have this sense of timeliness, and regardless of how you might have grown up or just your environment that you're in, where hey, 1 o'clock means walk in the room at 1, or 1 o'clock means oh yeah, I can, as long as I'm kind of there by 1, like that's good. If I'm there around 1, like 5 minutes is just 5 minutes. A minute late is just a minute late, no problem. And I had one of my acting teachers in acting school tell us something phenomenal. And I've always had to be timely my whole life, but he put this into perspective and looked at us and he told us, he said, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired. And he told us that in a sense from acting in the acting world. And you think about football, like just because you're getting into that room on time at 1, the meeting starts at 1. Some coaches don't sit here and say, "Hey, be here at 1 and trickle in and we'll get started by 1:05." It's like sometimes they want you in your seat, notebook out, iPad out, ready to roll when that clock hits 1 so they can start right away on that film. And if you're just kinda sauntering in there, you're not ready, that shows that you're kinda rolling into your day. You're kinda just like, "All right, well, I'm here. Just give me some time." The more time that you spend trying to get ready for the meeting or while you're in the meeting is less time that they get to coach you, to teach you. And it might not seem like a big deal to you guys, but for a coach, that lets him know, okay, my players are ready today. They're locked in. We're gonna go out on the field and we're gonna have a great day. Like, oh, that's the way that coaches think. And if it's one of them things that everybody's kind of walking in, sauntering in at the same time, and you see crust in people's eyes and their breath still stink because they didn't brush their teeth, he's like, man, this is gonna be a pretty hard day for us. I can already feel it. Like I'm gonna have to encourage him. I'm gonna have to get him ready. I'm gonna have to get him to get some juices flowing. And those are the things a coach shouldn't have to worry about. Be like, you're a collegiate athlete. You're a college athlete. I already said that. You're a college athlete. You're a professional athlete. Like you're supposed to show up and be ready. Like I said, the word professional doesn't apply to everybody, but it's how you approach things. Number two, when you're working a job worthwhile, a very important job, the job just doesn't start when you get there and clock in. Sometimes you got to get there a little bit earlier and clock in. And what I mean by that with professional football, like, we might have weightlifting that starts at 6:30 or 7 a.m., but I would get there maybe at like 6 o'clock, maybe 30 minutes to an hour earlier because I'm going to the training room to get some treatment on that ankle that's bothering me. I'm walking into the treatment center to stretch and roll out a little bit. So when I go into the weight room, that just like when I'm in the meeting room, I'm not just now sitting down and pulling out my notebook. Like my stuff is already ready to go. And so I'm doing those things. Maybe I need to get into the cold tub and hot tub before my workout because my legs are a little bit shot. And doing either one is going to help my body be ready to get rolling, and that I'm not going to need more time to warm up while I'm in the gym or while I'm in the weight room. Time that could have been better used for me to actually get going because I'm already warm. And so being a professional is nobody said being a professional is easy. Being a professional is tough. Being a professional is tough because sometimes there is no time range or time limit on the time that you're supposed to spend doing what you're doing. And I know that was a little bit confusing, but let me take some time to explain. My one of my NFL coaches, our special team coach, Keith Armstrong, he said the hay is never in the barn. The hay is never in the barn means you don't just show up to work and just because you came to work for 8 hours looking at film, practicing in the weight room, that you go home when it's 4 o'clock and, oh, I don't need to watch any film. I don't need to do anything to get better because I already spent my day at work. There are some people that work in professions and jobs where you have to take the work home with you a little bit. You might have to send an email or two when you're at home. You might have to do an hour or two of work while you're at home because you couldn't finish it all at work, or you had more pressing and important things to get to and you have to get back to it. And with the football player, there's never an athlete, there's never enough film that you can watch on yourself or on an opponent. There's never enough, time that you can put into your body to make sure that your legs are ready to go. So sometimes during training camp with the Falcons, I would stretch in the morning. That was the first thing I did when I woke up in my room, and I would stretch in the evening before I went to sleep. Those two things I can control, and I probably stretch somewhere in the middle of the day as well. But like those days of practice are built up on your body. You build up all those calcium deposits and the inflammation in certain areas, and your muscles are tight because as a receiver, all I did was run all practice. That's what a receiver does. We're running. Sometimes we catch the ball, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's thrown to us, sometimes it's not. But I could not have my legs and my body not be ready when I stepped on that field because those are the things that I had to use to do my job. And so that's what a professional is. That's what a professional does. They show up knowing that they did as much for their body or to prepare and to prep as they could to make what they're doing a little bit easier by you taking the 5, 10, 15 minutes, the 30 minutes to do some extra stretching, get some treatment, some ice and stem, some ultrasound, whatever it might be, whatever your pleasure is, whatever you need for that injury or that thing that's aching. And I say that also for the work world. Like I told you, we're talking about sports, but all this stuff goes into a multitude of areas. You're walking into a meeting and you have to run the meeting. Okay, well, is your PowerPoint set up? Is your laptop open and ready to go? Do you already have the pieces of the papers printed for everyone else to look at if they can't look at your presentation? Like things like that. Are you starting the meeting at 1 o'clock, or is everybody getting there at 1 and then you guys are getting going at 1 or 1:15? What prep work can you do beforehand? How much earlier do you need to get to that meeting room in order to set it up to be successful for you and for everybody that's coming in that meeting room? These are steps. And once you start thinking, and I'm sorry, but I think like an athlete. I think like an athlete. How can I separate myself from those other people that are on my team or my coworkers that I work with? Like we're all working for the same team, but we're also always competing. I'm always competing, whether the other people know it or not, because I'm showing up and I'm like, that presentation that you did last week, it was cool, but mine's gonna be the best one. And not to say I'm trying to shit on you, excuse my language, or I'm trying to sit here and do you bad, but like I set the bar. I set the standard because I know how high I can set it. I'll set the standard so high that you got other people like, man, he doing too much. Nah, I'm doing exactly what I need to do for me because this is how I operate. So as you guys are listening to this, if you're like, no, I don't need to listen to this episode, he's talking about football and sports. I challenge you. I challenge you to look at your career field and look at what you do and look at the areas where you can get better. Look at the areas where you can bring a little bit more in there to put yourself on a different level than other people. And I don't mean a different level where you look down at them like, hey, I'm better than you. It's like, no, I just operate differently. I'm a measure twice, cut once kind of person. But I'm also the person, if I'm putting my name and my stamp on something, I'm going to make that thing very good because it's a reflection of me. What people forget is we have a personal resume. Like everybody thinks, oh yeah, I got a resume of what I did in my life and who I worked for and some of my hard skills and soft skills that are important to jobs. But we all walk around with this personal resume that we have. And I'm gonna explain it to you. Everybody has that person in their friend group or that they know that is gonna be late. You tell them, "Hey, we're going out to eat at 1." You know they're gonna walk in the door at 1:15. You say, "Hey, can you pick me up from the airport? I get in at 11:30." They're calling you, "Hey, man, I'm right around the corner. I'll be there at like 12:15." Everybody knows that person who's always gonna be late. Everybody knows that person who's always gonna be on time. You know that person that's gonna beat you, "Hey, let's do lunch at 1." They're there at 12:45. You say, "Hey, can you come you gonna come pick me up from the airport?" You call them once you get your bag and everything. They're like, "Cool, I'm right at this rest area, this waiting spot. I'll be there in 5 minutes." We all have those two types of people, and I'm just using those as a small, short example here. But we know what to expect from those people because over time they've showed us, hey, this person usually runs late. Hey, this person always early. Hey, this other person, they're always prepared. Hey, this other person, they're always unprepared. They're never prepared, actually. So we're building this personal resume of the things that we're doing. And they might end up being big or they might end up being really, really small, but however you slice it, you have a personal resume. My question to you is what does your personal resume look like? Is it a good personal resume? Are you the person that I would call to come pick me up from the airport? Because I know, listen, if I know you can't make it to the airport to pick me up on time, I'd rather take a Uber, a Lyft, I'd rather walk or catch the bus if I know you ain't gonna be on time. Just let me know. But also that is a really big responsibility that I ask people for because I just know there aren't very many people I would ask to even come get me from the airport. Just because I know how tedious it is and just how big of an ask that is. But just me personally, I'm just speaking from me. But I know what friends I can and can't ask. I'm probably the friend that you can ask for a ride from the airport. Being out here in LA though, if you get in during crunch time traffic or anything like that, home, you got to call somebody else. But what I'm saying is I'm that person that people can be like, "Hey, I need a ride to the airport. What time? Got you. All right, cool. What time you want to get there? Cool. I'll pick you up at this time." That gives you enough time when we get there to, get through security, stop and have you a little honey bun or a little cinnamon bun or something or some Chick-fil-A and then get on your flight. We got you. You good. Like I said, you're building your personal resume. And the reason I told you you have to take care of your body is because, like I said, those 2 to 4 weeks that you're just focusing on straight football, this is a schedule. I don't have anybody's schedule right in front of me. And it's funny, I'm going to the Chargers training camp practice in a couple days. So I'll be able to say hi to some guys that I know. But it starts like this. You probably have, the first 2 or 3 days, straight where you practice. You might have a day off. Then you go 3 to 5 days. Then you might have a day off. Then you go about another 3 to 5 days. You might have a day off. Then preseason games start to get sprinkled into there here and there. But let's say over the course of a month, so 28 days, let's say 28 to 31 days, you might have 5 to 6 days off in that whole month. And I'm talking about when you're practicing, you're practicing. You go from helmets to shells to full pads as you progress. And most of those practices during that month are mostly full padded practices. So if you end up getting injured or pulling a hamstring or having some muscle tightness or anything like that, it stops you. So like say you miss 4 days, that's 10 to 15% of those practices. And if you're trying to make the team as a free agent or, a guy that is trying to, stretch his career out the most that he can, those are pivotal days that somebody's either gaining ground on you or that you're also losing ground. So you might have left being the second string receiver. And then by the time you come back, you might be sitting at third or fourth. And at that time, you look around and the writing starts to be on the wall like, hold on, that guy's doing well. That guy plays special teams. He starts. That's the other starter. Oh, okay. I'm the odd man out now. And that's why I said your body is your most important asset. Because without your body in sports and even in work, you show up and you're sick and you're overworking yourself and you're not going to the gym or working out or taking walks, pretty soon that's going to knock you out of work. And not saying that you'll get fired at work, at your jobs, that people got careers outside of sports and things like that. But you got to take care of yourself, is the overall thing that I'm saying. And if that's just 5 to 15 minutes of preventative work, I think that's a lot more manageable than sitting here and saying, man, I have to miss a week of work because I didn't take care of XYZ, ABC. And for me being an undrafted free agent, I couldn't afford to miss any days. So I had to do these types of things in order to be ready. I had to do these types of things in order to put myself in the best position to make the team. And that's why I speak from a angle or from a stance of people making the team. This isn't for the quarterback that's been playing 10 or 15 years and he's a franchise QB. He's going to be there. These are for the people who are fighting and clawing and scratching to get their chance to play in the league and to stay in the league. But this message is for everyone because when you operate and you move like a professional, it gives you the best chance that you can possibly have. The best chance that you can possibly have to make this team, or not even just make this team. You're always auditioning for every single team in the NFL because the film that you're getting, maybe not from practice, but from the preseason games, is film that all the other team scouting departments look at as they're trying to say, how can we build and get the best roster possible going into this season? And the last thing is just be a good teammate. I'm not going to say that's going to be the end all be all for you to make the team, but everybody's fighting for the same spot, the same positions. If you asked every player on the team who wants to be playing when we get to the first game, you would see everybody's hand go up. But there aren't that many positions, there aren't that many contracts to be signed to be able to get everybody to play because the cap's at 53. So there has to be some attrition. There has to be some people that don't make it. But it doesn't mean that you have to operate in a way that is spiteful to give you the upper hand over somebody else. I'll tell you guys this funny story really quick. And it was while I was trying to make the team my second year in the NFL. And like I said, I was an undrafted free agent. So every year I'm kind of fighting and scratching and clawing to make the team because there are no promises for honestly for anybody, but especially for the undrafted guys. And I remember we're doing our team stuff. We're going against the defense and we're doing 2 minute. And so 2 minutes when we have to hustle, we're trying to drive down the field because we need a touchdown or a field goal to win the game or go ahead. And so it's a very important time. And I remember like I had to run this long route and I was on my way back and I didn't get the play call. And I remember somebody from the sideline told me what route I had or what I had to run. And granted, I ran this route and they threw the ball my way, and I was nowhere near where I was supposed to be because the person that was on the sideline gave me the wrong route. And so my receiver coach yelled at me, the offensive coordinator yelled at me, the quarterback yelled at me at the time. It was Matt Ryan. And I get to the sideline, and that's the time I was like, all right, I can't trust nobody. Like I have to make sure I get the play. I have to get it by myself. I can't believe anybody over here on the sideline because there are other people, other receivers at the time that were trying to make the team. They saw that as a moment to make me look bad by giving me the wrong route. Also knowing that I couldn't just point the finger and be like, "Hey, somebody gave me the wrong route. I was coming back late." And that's the thing about the NFL, and that's the thing about life sometimes. Sometimes people don't wanna hear your excuses. And sometimes your excuses aren't even good enough to say, "My dog ate my homework." Man, just say you didn't do your homework, bruh. It's all good. But by me telling coach, "Hey, I was running back and I was late and somebody on the sideline gave me the wrong signal," he would have been like, "Well, why don't you ask somebody else for the play? Like, why didn't you ask us for the play? We would have told you." But in that moment, at that time, I wasn't thinking that far and that deep. But that let me know, like, yo, you Drew, you gotta be on your stuff. You gotta be on your P's and Q's. Because there's some people out here dirty macking, throwing salt in the game, and they don't want you to make it. They feel threatened. They know that you have a very good chance to make this team. You've been making plays, so they got to do certain stuff to kind of knock you off track. But you don't have to be that kind of teammate. You don't have to be that type of coworker. May the best person win. If you really want the job, if you really want the spot, if you want the promotion, put in the work to get there. Don't ask for it to be handed to you. Don't sabotage the people that are around you to make you look better. If you got to do that, then I don't want to be anywhere around you as a person because it speaks to your integrity and your morals and your scruples. But once again, football and sports is different and it's weird because you got the same people that you're going against knowingly knowing that you guys are fighting for these couple spots and that there's no remorse, that there's no prisoners, and there's some people that move like that. Not everybody moves like that, just some people. But I tell you guys that because if you're a person who you're a coworker or you have some friends or some people that you work with and you feel like you need to be a certain way to either get them fired or have them lose their position or get bosses' eyes turned towards them, just focus on being the best you can be. Everything else will sort itself out. But there's nothing that you gain from literally being able to sabotage somebody. Well, there is something that you gain. But let's be honest. If you had to get it that way, you most likely gonna lose it in the same way. Because you know that karma come back around and it come back twice as heavy than it did when it was doled out. And you're gonna get your comeuppance if that's how you operate. And I'm a firm believer in people getting what's coming to them based on how they've acted or operated to get there. And so those are the couple things I wanted to give you guys. I think I gave you guys the things I needed to. I just really wanted to stop in because it's been on my mind to do something with the players that are going into fall camp and training camp and kind of discuss what that's like. Maybe I'll come back with another episode within the month that talks about what it's like day to day inside training camp and fall camp. But outside of that, the thing where control what you can control, being timely, sitting up front, being attentive, being ready, doing the precautionary things to do before getting there to be prepared and prepped and ready to go when it's time, being a good teammate, showing some good leadership, not dirty macking, throwing salt in the game, just all those kind of things. Those things will help you make the team because there still aren't that many people who operate and act like professionals. Whether we're talking about in a career in a work setting or we're talking about sports at the high levels. And so you'll continue to separate yourself from people by just doing those base level foundational things that show how serious you are about this job, this work, this position. But also you'll continue to develop as a human being and continue to get better at what you're trying to do and working towards. So once again, that is this episode of How to Make the Team. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Looking forward to some football very, very soon. I'm going to talk to you guys soon. Stay well, stay good, stay rested. I love you guys. Stay healthy.